I feel like you're a pastor. 5, 4, 3, 2. Welcome. This is Grand Tap Media, Breathing the Grand Show. My name is Pamela Kine, I'm your host. I have a very special guest here today, and you probably have seen them maybe on the national newscast. They are both running for Kent County Commission offices, and what is so special about these people are that they are sisters and twins. So I want to welcome this day and tap right into what's going on so I can ask you all the questions I've been dying to ask you since I've heard about your run for offices, both of you, and seen you on the national. So I'm going to do my very best to be like Fox News and all those morning shows.
Pam, we are so excited to be here with you locally.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for being here. Okay, so I want to introduce to you Monica Sparks, who's running for County Commission, and she is the owner of Radio for Divas. And then her sister, her twin sister, Jessica Ann Tyson, who is, I'm going to make sure I got this right, JA Public Relations, right?
Yes.
PR firm.
Yes.
So welcome, ladies.
Thank
you. We're breathing in the grand all the time.
I know, you've seen me come a long way, and I was interviewed on your radio show a few times.
By you. You're doing great, Pam. I'm so excited for you.
Well, I'm excited about both of you, but what's so interesting about these two ladies that they are on both end of the party. So Jessica Ann is running for the Republican Party, and Monica Sparks is running for the Democrat Party. So that's I will have to tell you, when I heard that, I went, okay, the first thing my thought was, what is your dinner parties like? What's your home, what's your conversation?
Yes.
But what I really like about this is that you both are going to be able to talk things and out.
Yes.
Which today has been so polarized, especially with social media, people just on their platforms. And you've probably have experienced where you've seen people actually after the election of the recent president couldn't remain friends.
Yeah.
Or they just said, that's my platform, what I'm standing for, and if you stand for this, we're done.
Absolutely.
I had a friend almost walk out of a restaurant when Donald got elected, and I went, because I was trying a friend, what we were debating on real quickly was we were debating on he had the right to pick his cabinet.
Sure.
And you know how that all went about when it first started. And she said, how dare these people just got, I go, this is normal.
Yes.
They get to pick the people.
Everyone gets to do it.
Yeah, and so she get upset.
You want to work with. Yeah.
So I'm going to start with you, Monica. I know that you told me probably about what? Was it in May or something that you were running for office, or April? So I want to share with you why are you running? And what made you really decide to run for office?
Well, Pam, in March I decided to run. Well, I think really more like November. My sister is very inspiring to me. And people would say, oh, how could she be inspiring if she's, supports Donald Trump or the Republican Party? It's because I know who she is. And so I was inspired by her tenacity and her wanting to represent individuals, families, seniors, veterans, and her life of service. I mean, quite frankly, she is a servant leader and has a servant heart. I grew up with her from the womb. And for me, there was a gentleman, Harold Mast, who's in the seat now that's retiring.
Right.
And Harold was doing a great job. He would show up at events. We'd see about the community. He wasn't missing board meetings, anything like that. So there was no need to run against somebody who's doing their job, right? Just because you can run, if somebody is effective, why would you? So when my sister was running, I was helping her. And when it came down time that Harold announced his retirement, we had a meeting. I met with him, and he told me he was going to retire. And I had to decide then, what was I going to do?
But really, he's a Republican.
He is a Republican.
So did you agreed with some of the things he was doing? So
absolutely.
Okay.
Like I said, he showed up in the community. He was doing what he needed to do, passing budgets, showing up to meetings, and I think that people probably confuse like this position for Kent County Commissioner. I'm not going to make a decision about Medicaid for all, Medicare for all. I'm not going to make a decision about minimum wage. We don't make those decisions. Our job, and that's one of the reasons why I wish the seat was nonpartisan, is because we have to service everybody. Everybody needs to be serviced. So backing up to answer your question, I was selected by the Grand Rapids Business Journal as one of the 50 most influential women
I
in
remember
West
that.
Michigan
Yeah.
in March, which just has had that award years ago. So I knew then when you earn influence and you gain that kind of influence, it's something that you use for others. It's not something that you use to build yourself up. So I said, this is the universe knocking at my door, and it's time for me to answer at a higher level. And that's when I filed.
You did? Okay. So then, in this Harold Mass, did he support that? I mean, did you guys
No.
talk?
We talked, but I'm not
Okay.
in the Republican Party. I am a Democrat. And
can you tell me where, so people are watching, where you are running? Because I don't want to see
I
their
am running in
signs.
Kent County
Okay.
for the 12th district, which is part of Kentwood and part of Wyoming, which she has all of Kentwood, well, most of Kentwood, but I have a slither of Kentwood and a slither of Wyoming. So
Do you guys butt up districts
do.
way?
Yeah, we
Okay.
do.
All right, all right.
Kalamazoo divides us.
Yeah, her signs are on the opposite side of where my signs are.
Yes.
Now, okay, so that's when you were talking, and so I'm going to go right over to Jessica Ann. What made you? Because did you know before, or were you decided before your sister that you were going to run?
Yeah, so actually, Pam, I am Jessica Ann Tyson, and I am a proud Republican. I'm running for the 13th District Kent County Commission to serve on that board. There are 19 different commissioners there, and I would like to obtain one of those seats so that I can service all. You represent your district. Again, mine is a good portion of Kentwood. For me, I ran before. I ran and I lost by 2%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
2%. And so I'm back at it again, but it's because I am very much aware of who I am and what I do, and I feel like I am the best person, the best candidate to service Kentwood. So I really just am continuing a line of service that I would love to do at a higher level. And that's why I'm rocking it out on the campaign trail, as you see. Every chance we get, I'm knocking doors with my team. Every moment I get to make phone calls to residents, stopping in, listening to constituents, that's an important part of the job.
Right. Okay. So now that you both have been out there and your districts are right next to each other. Now, Monica, you said, your district has kind of changed over
Yes.
the years, right? And it's becoming more of on the Democrat platform, maybe because there is more diversity coming into the district.
Oh, Pam, we have a ton of diversity. Many refugees, many immigrants, new Americans, small business owners. I have that little street called Division, and then that little area called 131 that kind of runs through it. So
Right,
it
right.
separates a lot of Latinos. The area is so exciting right now because then we have our blue collar workers, our hard working citizens. The area is just exploded with a different vibe and a different energy, and so I'm really excited to see when I'm out and about the different constituents that I hope to represent.
Okay. And then you being right next to them, are you feeling the same thing she is, or because
Totally, Pam. The person that sat in the role before I lost was Commissioner Vandermolen, who also is the former chair of the Kent County Board of Commissions, and he served in that position for more than 20 years, and he is a proud Republican too.
Okay.
And so this time the seat flipped to a Democrat. And it flipped because we too have a lot of change in Kentwood. I don't know if it's growing zip codes 49508.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
No, I
yes.
did not know that.
So that's super great. So that means there's a lot of millennials, a lot of new ideas and thoughts that come with new people, and that's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. But Kentwood is not new to diversity because
No.
our high school speaks more than 70 different languages.
Yes, that's true.
Our population, we have a lot of immigrants as well. We have a lot of refugees. We have a lot of small business owners. We have a lot of families. We have a lot of subdivisions. We have a lot of apartments. We have a lot of duplexes and townhomes. So Kentwood is made up of a beautiful eclectic mix of different types of individuals, companies, and industry there as well. But Commissioner Vandermolen kept that seat for, again, more than 20 years. And
As in Harold Mast.
And
Yeah,
the last
yeah.
election around, as you know, it was very, it was Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump.
Correct.
And there were some areas that absolutely saw what Trump could do, and they selected him. And there were some areas that they hoped that Hillary Clinton would take the ticket, and my area was one of those areas.
Wow. Oh, it's been out there. I know you guys have been knocking on doors for several months. Monica, we have talked a little bit because we're in kind of the same kind of circle of people.
We're friends. I
We're
like to think.
friends,
Yeah.
But how is polarized as the national media talks about out
It's
there?
rough. It's rough, Pam. But I believe that it's not as polarized as the media portrays it. But when you give energy to something, it grows. So if that's all we're watching and that's all we're talking about and that's all we're listening to, of course it's going to appear that that's what people are doing. When I'm going to the homes, people are living their lives. They have their families. They have their children. Many of the mothers have children with special needs. That's what they're focusing on. They're focusing on what are you going to do for me right here, right now, the services that I need for my family, the services that I need Kent County to have. What about my roads? What about my sidewalks? Are the seniors going to be okay? What about the veterans? So I would venture to say what I'm learning is that people want to know, what are you going to do for them right here? While they see national, I think that part of them feels that they aren't part of national because they can't attain or they're not able to touch, those individuals. But when I walk up to the door, and I'm currently a planning commissioner with the city of Kentwood, and I announce who I am, they say, wow, somebody would come to my door and talk to me and listen. And that's what I do. I'm there to listen, learn, and serve. So I think that the people right now, they want accountability. They want transparency, and they want to be able to put their hands on the person that they are going to elect. They want people that they can trust.
Now, I will say behind closed doors, when I talk to people, they are saying that you're being a female and of African American, that you might be able, because you've been around, maybe your sister, be able to speak in a way that some of them haven't been able to. People that that are a different culture, white, I would say.
That's fair to say.
Say, okay,
That's
that we'll
fair.
be able to say without being accused of something. Do you know what I'm saying? It's
I
like
do.
we disagree with this, and it's nothing to do with.
Yes.
And you probably get that. How are you feeling about that? Where people are like, you know what, maybe she can be able to speak some reason and say without being, what I mean? This is what you're thinking, and it's not true. If that makes any sense, am I saying that correctly?
No, I understand. I
Okay.
understand exactly what you're saying. Did you want to take that, or do you want me?
Well, that, Pam, to the point that you're speaking to, I love being at the table. My sister always says, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. Okay.
Well, that's very good.
And so,
Where I got that from? I think Omarosa said that. Or something.
oh gosh. So what is really being said in that statement is we are all different, but we have a lot of shared values.
Right. That's exactly
And
it.
sometimes I am in the room, Pam, and I am the only black female. Because a lot of times when you look at the Republican Party, many people believe that it's white male dominated. And that can be true, a true statement depending on what area you're in.
You're in West Michigan.
But when I'm in Washington, D.C., I'm with thousands of black people, Americans, Republicans.
Right, right.
When I am at the table and I am serving, I get the opportunity to represent those individuals. Now, I don't represent all, but I try to put myself in their position because I've lived through so much in my lifetime. And so what happens is I am able to say, you know what? Listen, guys, I'm not quite sure that that's what we really want to do. Is that really what our goal is? Well, blah, 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 blah. But have you considered it from this vantage point? Have you looked at it from this view? And they're like, well, what do you mean? And I explain it. And after that, sometimes the whole vote changes in favor of people. because we're going to look out for the people that we come in contact with. And if you don't come in contact with people who don't look like you, sometimes it's easy to overlook them. Now, I'm not making excuses for them, but let's be honest. How many people have friends that don't look like them and that they hang out with and they know their issues? Sometimes that's just not reality in real world, especially if you're in a world and there are only white people in your world. But you know, in the real world, there's other people, Latinos and Blacks and Asian and Bosnian. You need to make sure that you look out for them too. But if no one's at the table to represent them, then there's the issue.
And that's what you're coming up against when you're out there, is people saying the same thing. It's like, you know, I'm not being represented. And even at the county, does people even understand what a county commissioner does?
I don't think they understand, but I can tell you what I have had. Yes, hi, I'm running for office, or may I please hand you some information? Well, where's the candidate? I'm the candidate. You know, what? And when they see that I'm the candidate, many times they say, oh, how refreshing, or how exciting, or this is different. You know, so people are ready for something different. They're ready for a change. I asked one gentleman, why did you vote for Cherie Tanadar? And he said, I'm so old. He was like 89. He's like, I'm so old. I'm voting so far to the left because I've seen nothing happen. You know? So people are willing to take risks that they hadn't taken before. That's why President Obama got in office, because people were willing to take risks because they wanted to see that change that had been promised to them. So as far as a county commissioner, our job is to balance a budget. So for last year, $317 million was our budget. This year, $432 million. I think I'm getting that right. 417 million.
Okay.
Sorry, that's almost $500 million with a B dollars. Making sure that services continue for residents in Kent County. Making sure that we fund, you know, the veteran services, which very near and dear to our heart. Our father's a Korean Purple War veteran. Our brother's senior master sergeant, retired from the Air Force.
My son was in the Navy.
Our nephew's in the service. I mean, our whole family, our uncle's a corporal, our whole family is entrenched.
Our other uncle was the first Navy person to fly a plane, Black.
Yes.
Our Uncle
Fred
J.R.
Richardson.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
we have a very rich legacy of service, period. So that's what our job is. Our job is to make sure that the services continue for the residents that live in Kent County.
Right. Okay. I'm going to direct this to you. Question, Jessica Ann.
Yes.
What people are, you know, they're during the last election, there was a lot of protests. My daughter lives in Chicago, which is different from a little bit of Grand Rapids, but they were just so angry.
Sure.
And my thought was, when I used to talk to my husband, it's like, what are they so angry about? I mean, what haven't we given them? And I'm not saying a given is like they get everything, but what has some of the people upset about with the opportunity for, you know, college and opportunities of job training? There's a lot of programs out there if you seek. And I'm not saying they're all perfect, but we live in America. Come on, let's be honest. If you really want to work hard, you would find somebody like you guys would say, hey, I can plug you with this person, plug you with that. There's resources. To be so angry that somehow we've robbed them of something, and I never understood that, but maybe you can explain a little bit more. What exactly were they do you have any idea when you're out there, because you worked in the Republican Party? It's like, what are they so upset about that they haven't gotten?
Pam, I'm going to tell you a quick story. I was at the inauguration for President Donald J. Trump, and I went back to my hotel, and the next set of individuals, so we're there, the inauguration, high energy, you see all the past presidents, you know, Democrat, Republican, all on the platform, the Bushes, the Obamas, everyone. It's just, you just feel so cool, and you get to see, you know, this piece of history taking place. I get to the hotel, and the next group of people I see are those that are getting ready to march for women reproductive rights. So they had the hats on, the pink hats with the, you know, uterus hats, and they were all very, 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 very angry, and we're getting ready to go march, and we're gonna march over all of what happened. Yeah, okay. And I look over and I see a little girl who's all of 8 years old, and I know that because I asked her mother. she has a sign in her hand, and it was a very nasty sign that I would not even let my daughter even think that it would be okay to hold a sign that was just so nasty. And so I went over to the mom and I said, can I ask you a question? And she said, sure. I said, how old is your daughter? She said, 8 years old. I said, oh, okay. I said, I have a 16-year, at the time, I think 15-year-old daughter. And wow, that sign says a lot. It's kind of impactful. She says, oh, well, you know, we're just here with one of my friends. She was really angry and now we're angry. I said, well, what are you angry about? She says, oh, well, we're not sure. We're just here for the weekend and for the fun.
Oh my goodness.
So what you did was you put your daughter in the middle of it, okay? You put your friends at the top of being angry, so you took on her cause, and you really didn't know what was really going on, really at the heart of it. And that's what I think happens a lot with Americans. We hear a soundbite. We hear that Donald Trump is enacting tariffs, but we don't realize that there's a tariff on us already, and that it's affecting us in the Chinese 2025. I don't want to get too deep.
Right.
But we don't understand, or we don't take the time to really read through. We hear the soundbite, and then at the water cooler, we get very angry because somebody's been wronged. Somebody's got to pay.
Right.
But let's unfold
Knee-jerk.
and unpack the story, and then let's read the whole statement, and let's understand it. But what happens is my girlfriend was mad this morning, and now I'm pissed. Now, and somebody's got to pay, and I don't know who, and for what, but it's got to happen. And I think that a lot of people do that. And a lot of people, I think they don't want to feel misinformed, so they stay with the rhetoric, the negative rhetoric, so that they don't have to really answer why they feel that way. It's just, yeah, well, we're all mad. Yeah, well, we're all mad. Well, I'm mad too. Did that happen? Oh, I'm so mad. Now I'm just angry.
Right.
I'm not going to go vote. Really? So I think a lot of that is just personality driven, and I think it's people don't want to appear uninformed and unintelligent, and unfortunately, that's what happens. So
A lot of people are just mad about their lives in general, and they need to blame somebody. They want to, react, and that's what they're doing.
Okay, well, let's talk about being on the national level here. I mean, I know you're running for county commission, but are you really? Let's talk about being kind of celebrity now. You've been on Fox News and other. But I mean, does it feel like that when you're on there talking and you've got all of this attention now, the two of you, because you are twins, you're running on opposites, the Republican and Democrat. Are you surprised at how that's been, how that's all come about?
I was very shocked. I was like, huh? Us, like we're just living our lives doing what it is that we do. So
that we should do or supposed to
yeah,
do.
we're supposed to, be public servants or help out the best way that we can. So yeah, it was kind of a shock for us.
Yeah, Monica and I, when we started getting, we were like, what is going on? I mean, it was really kind of crazy because the phones, our office phones, cell phones, it was
Text,
just crazy.
emails.
I mean, it was just over flooded. And a lot of the interviews we did not do because we just didn't have the time to do them. But
and we picked some of them that we just didn't want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. But I would say there's, I can't even tell you how many, maybe 500 plus interviews that we counted. But when I say that it's crazy, we started thinking like, so we're Christians.
Right.
So what we said was, God, what is it that you're trying to do? And we're like, it's a ministry. If people see love between family and love between the neighbor, love your neighbor as yourself, then we'll take on that burden. We'll take on that, because sometimes you look at the comments and you're like, you call me fat?
I need to obviously go on a diet.
But it's a ministry. So,
Yes.
but Pam, when we look at the amount of emails and phone calls and letters and campaign
cards,
contributions and
yes,
cards, and people who are really saying, you know what, I did not have Thanksgiving with my son for the last 2 So Thanksgivings, and I haven't seen my beautiful
Since
grandchildren.
President Obama and
But now we're
Oh,
going
yeah.
to reconcile, because if you girls can do it, we surely can. You know,
We
you're
were
just
walking
like, wow.
downtown. We were walking downtown out of a building, and the girl goes, "The right wing and the left wing belong to the same bird." She's like, "Oh my God, I love that," and I'm sharing that with my husband tonight because we don't agree on politics. So just, if people get along because we're able to get along, they should. You know what? Why we get along, Pam?
Tell me, Monica, because is there anything you can't talk about? That's what I want to know.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
well, there have been times that we have our little arguments. We do
You
have our.
know, she puts me out of her house.
Our mom never let us argue growing up. If we had a disagreement, we had to debate each other. So we had to find out whatever the facts were. We had to get the encyclopedia. I know people don't know what that is these days. We get the encyclopedia, dictionary, and figure it out. And then we had to come to some resolve, even if it was agree to disagree. We had to come to some resolve. And I think being twins, we see ourselves in each other a lot because we look so much alike. And so many times people say, Monica, Jessica, whichever one you are. And our mother would say, wait just a minute. They're individuals, and you respect them as such. So she'd say, this is Jessica Ann, and this is Monica. So our mom taught us to stand for our own individual beliefs, but we're very supportive of each other. The flip side to that, you might, say pleasantries, good morning, whatever. Why should we mistreat people in our family? Treat them any different because we don't agree with their politics, which is our constitutional right. Our democratic system that we have here says you can choose. You can choose.
Right.
So why would I take that away from her if I don't want it taken away from me?
I understand that. Okay, so how about you? How do you, I have long conversations in your video.
But we're still friends,
Right,
Pam,
but we find a lot more in common, and I'm happy
Exactly.
to hear that. And I think that I find that when I'm talking to people, to
That's
find
'cause
that
you're
common
likable.
ground. But honestly, is there anything you just like, you know what, we're party that you're like, you know what, I can't wiggle on this. And we're not wiggling.
There are some things, some things, Pam, if you don't mind me saying, we have made a political that are not political.
Right.
A baby's right to live is not a political statement. We have made it a political statement,
Right.
but it is a human, and we have made it into something that it's not. So I don't waver on, my voice for the baby. I don't waver on that. Especially with our story being adopted, coming from a mother who was on heroin, and she had the opportunity to abort us, but she chose life. So and my sister is a phenomenal woman. I couldn't imagine this world without her, all the wonderful things that she does. And so that's one thing. Another thing that I don't waver on is I just believe that there should be lower taxes, and everyone should be called to the table to work if they are able-bodied and available to do so. When I say available, that's some people don't, have, the availability because they're mental. No, but a lot of things with immigration, this country, yes, it was founded on immigrants. Absolutely it was, and we are so rich. Our society is so rich for that, but we do have laws in place, and I want to know who's coming in this country because I want to be safe, and I want my family and my fellow citizens to be safe as well. We cannot go over to other countries and just, hey y'all, I'm here.
Right.
No, you can't do that. There are systems set in place for everyone.
Yes.
I want you both. Monica, I know you personally, and I know your heart. I really do want you to be elected, and of course, Jessica Ann, I want you to be elected
Well,
too.
maybe Kent County will have twins.
Well, at least maybe you could talk it out, and maybe you guys could come to something and then bring something new
Who knows?
to
Maybe
bring
so.
to the platform when you go to these meetings, right? All right, well, thank you,
for
ladies,
your
for being here. I'll
time.
have you on again.
Thank
you
you.
so much for being on Breathe In the Grant Show. My name is Pamela Kime from Grand Tap Media. We will see you next time.